Good evening. This is Dr. Eddie Morgan over at Clovis East High School, and I'm delighted to be your student's Math 1 teacher this year. Just want to introduce you to my class and hope I can answer most of your questions. Each day I start with this particular slide. It says, "What are we going to do today, Dr. Morgan?" And I answer the same thing we do every day. And what is that? We're going to try and take over the world. Now, what I explain to them is that the people who run the world are usually the people who are best at solving problems, problems of all kind. Not all problems are numbers, but if we work with numbers and learn how to think logically to solve problems, I know that this will help them solve other kinds of problems in life. As we get started tonight, I want to mention a couple things that I need for you that you can do for me that can really help your students out this year. First of all, I need your email address to contact you. This is particularly true if you have an email address you want me to send something to that's different than the one that the school has in parent contact. Second, I need you to be talking to your students this year, especially with the distance learning. We need all the help we can get. That means I need you to ask them to be showing you their homework. Don't just ask, did you do your homework? Have them show it to you. See if there's actually work there. Second, ask them to show you your class notes. We take notes each day on what we're doing, and I can tell you this much. If they show you notes and there's nothing on it, then they really haven't probably been doing anything during the Zoom meetings. And lastly, check their grades in Zango, probably at least once a week, not just for the grades, but to see if they have missing assignments. Don't let them get behind. Last, I want you to talk to me. Open communication between parents and teachers is the best way to help students, and the best way to reach me is by email, and I'm always available to talk with you. So what can you expect from me? First of all, I'm going to have your grades posted every week. During normal school, apart from distance learning, I used to actually post all of my homework almost every day. Wasn't a guarantee, but not during this distance learning, things have gotten kind of crazy. Seems like I spend 2 hours a day just answering emails. So it hasn't been as easy to keep up on the grades. But I promise you that every week by Saturday at noon, I'm going to have the grades in, and anything that's been turned in is going to be in that system at that time. So once a week, once a week, those grades are all going to be in, and you can see exactly where they're at. Second, I'm going to be giving you progress reports. As we go along, we have our 6-week and our 12-week progress report, and sometimes I send out others if I think a student is getting behind and needs a little encouragement. Third, I'm always open to your emails. I'm always willing to help and talk with you at any time. And finally, I do offer extra help after school. Usually the student needs to just contact me and say, can I meet you after school? I am going to be doing every Monday a homework help from from 1:20 to 2:40. But other than that, anytime we need to make extra help, we'll make it happen. This is a slide I usually show when students are at school, but I thought I should show it to you too. Some basic things they need even while they're at home. They need to have some pencils. I recommend mechanical pencils with 0.7 lead, but otherwise they need to have 2 sharpened pencils with erasers while they're working in class. You should also give them a calculator. In our class, you do not need an expensive calculator. You can go to the dollar store and get a dollar store calculator if you want to. Something inexpensive that just, adds, subtracts, multiplies, divide, maybe does a percentage or a square root. That's great, but just inexpensive. Finally, they should have a ruler. It'd be nice to have one with inches on one side and centimeters on another. That's the basic things they're going to need while they're doing distance learning with me. Our textbook this year is called Math 1 Core Connections Integrated 1. It's from CPM, which means College Preparatory Mathematics. Our book this year is going to be online, and I'll be showing you in just a minute how to access that. If for whatever reason you feel like your student needs to actually have a physical textbook, you can come on down to the library any day and check one out for them. Now let me briefly show you how your student and you can access the textbook and other resources for our class. First of all, the easiest way is to go to the CUSD Math Help website. That's at mathhelp.cusd.com. Once you get to that site, you click on View Course Library. That's what the symbol looks like right there. And it will bring up a number of courses, and of course you're going to select Math 1. That's our class. Once you've clicked on Math 1, then you're going to see this two textbooks come up, and you're going to want to click the CPM textbook. The blue book sign there, just click on that, and that will bring you to the next slide. This will bring you to the next slide. This lists the resources that are available. This is where we really wanted to get to. As you see, you can click on and see the online book. This is the actual textbook. Then there is a homework help page that actually gives some guidelines on some of the pages, homework that we do each day. The CPM homework, you can find help for the problems that we're doing. And then you may like the parent guide, which shows you some ideas how to help them with subjects and with some extra practice. Now, once you click on these, it's going to ask you to log in to make sure you're a member of Clovis Unified. And at this point, you want to click down below where it says sign in with Google. And at that point, your child can enter their Google username, their class username and ID, or if they're already on Google on their computer, it'll just go on there automatically. This year we have modified our grading scale because of the distance learning. Usually our tests count a lot more. They're usually like 70% of the grade. This year we've reduced it down to 50%, and we've increased the amount that homework is worth, because we think in a distance learning, their ability to be working and doing their homework is much more important during this time. So you can see 50% of their grade will be the results of their tests, 30% of their grade will be their homework score, 10% will be quizzes, and 10% will be what I call PBA, or participation, behavior, and attendance. Your student's test score will be made up of two parts. First will be the unit tests. At the end of each chapter or unit, they will receive a test to see how much they understand the material for that unit. Second, notice that we do have a makeup policy. If a student fails this unit test, they can make it up. They can get it passing. In fact, most students who fail my class are simply students who don't bother to make up tests that they fail. But in order to make it up, they do have to do a little bit of work. They have to study a little bit. They have to complete a review worksheet that I will pass out to them before they can make up the test. And generally, I have them talk to me to make sure they've done the work and they're really ready. I don't want them to waste their makeup by just taking it again without putting in the work. At the end of the semester, we also have a final exam that will be part of their test grade. The one part of my class that students and parents have the hardest time understanding is our homework. During distance learning, I've basically lined out two types of homework they're going to have. They're going to have what I call the Delta Math homework, and they're going to have the CPM homework. So let me explain. First, I believe that homework is the key to learning. Homework reinforces what a student learns in class so they can remember it. And our homework is also assigned in a spiral manner so that students can learn by spaced practice. Let me explain that a little more. I want to show you this forgetting curve. This was a study made of how much we're able to retain information over a period of time. You notice at the beginning of this first day, they know 100% of the information. If they leave class within 20 minutes, a student will forget almost 40% of what they were just taught. And if you go on within a day, they're down to like only knowing 30%. And within a month, they know less than 25%. In other words, no matter how good your teacher is, no matter how good they taught it the first time, if a student does nothing with the information but just watch and listen to the teacher, within a month, they will remember less than 25% of what was taught to them. What students need actually is spaced practice. I drew a little graph here. I just kind of free-handed it. But the way students actually learn is they need good instruction, but they need practice over time. This is how they learn. They try it, they make a mistake. They try it again, they make a mistake. They learn from it, and eventually they get it. Learning math is a lot like learning to play a sport or musical instrument. You need good instruction, but good instruction is wasted if you're not practicing what you've learned. The first type of homework that I give our students is Delta Math homework. Each week a student is given usually on Monday, 9 or 10 sections in the Delta Math to complete. Each section contains a particular type of problem. You might have two-step problems, or you might have, solve exponential problems. But they're given 9 or 10 sections, and students are asked to complete 2 problems in each of the sections. So that's their homework, and they usually have a whole week to do that. For each section, the students are given a video at the beginning of the section to help them understand how to do the problem. And then they're also given hints at times on the problem itself before they get started. They try the problem. If they happen to miss the problem, they are given a second chance on every problem. If a student misses it the second time, then the program will show them the correct way to do the homework. This is a critical point. If a student has written down their work, they can compare their work to what the program says it should be done, how it should be done, and they should be looking to say, what am I doing wrong? Where am I not getting it? And that's exactly the point where learning occurs. If they've missed it a second time, then the program gives them another problem in the same section. So they'll have another problem to do in the same section, and they keep working that 1 time, 2 times. If they get it wrong, they'll get a third problem. They keep doing it until they get 2 problems right. That's how they finish the section. So unlike old homework where you just, you do a couple problems at night, you don't find out the next day till they're done, you're going to find out right then whether you're getting it right or wrong. There's instant feedback in that way. As I mentioned above, the Delta Math homework will probably be assigned each Monday morning, and it'll be due the following Sunday night. So they have a week to get the work done. I encourage them to do it during the week. Don't think, oh, it's not due to Sunday, wait till Friday. I hope they would try to get it done before the weekend. If they do not get it all done, they can always improve their grade at any time, but their grade will be reduced if it's late. So if they get it all done by Sunday night, they get 100%. But let's suppose they only got 70% of it done that week. If they will complete the 100% during the next week, I will give them 90% credit on it. After that, they can still work on it, and I will give them 80% credit. So, if you find your student at Thanksgiving time working on Delta Math from the first week of school, they're just trying to get an 80% grade on it, which isn't bad. That's a B. One other component of my Delta Math homework assignments is that I spiral the assignments. That means, for example, if I give them a section of 2-step problems the first week, I may give them that same set of problems 2 weeks later. And then I may give them again 3 weeks later. In other words, we continue to spiral the problems. That's that aspect of making sure it's not that we got it 1 week and now we're done. We keep seeing it over and over throughout the year, because that's the way that students learn. The second part of my homework schedule is the CPM homework. These are problems that come out of the textbook. Every Tuesday and Thursday when I have a lesson, the students will usually be assigned 2 problems from their textbook. These problems allow students to look at the material we actually covered in class that day. So again, I'm making sure, remember that forgetting curve? I'm making sure that the day they have the lesson, they have to look at that material again that same day. By the way, they do not necessarily have to have their textbook. I will provide a worksheet with these 2 problems, and I'll post it on their Google Classroom site. At that point, they could download the assignment, print it out, do their work on it, and then submit it to me. Or they could just look at it on the computer and do all their work on another sheet of paper and then send it in to me. After the student has completed their work, they'll take a picture of it and submit it on the same Google Classroom link that they got the worksheet from. The due dates for each of these assignments is the next night at midnight. In other words, the Tuesday assignment is due by midnight on Wednesday, and the Thursday assignment is due by midnight on Friday night. Again, assignments, by the way, are graded on a work done basis. I'm going to be looking to see if they just worked the problem. I'm not going to be grading them on whether they got this problem right. We'll be going over the problems in class the next day, and they can correct them. The key thing is, did they do it? Did they actually do the problem? So I'll be looking at work, not correctness on this part of the homework. How do I grade the CPM homework? Well, if they complete the assignments, both problems, turn it in on time, they get 5 points. If they turn it in without showing work, then it's be considered incomplete. So if they just write down an answer, then it's not, they didn't do the homework. They have to show me work. If they turn it in a week late, so like if the homework's due on Wednesday night and they get it in before the final week, I'll give them 4 points for that. And after that, if they turn it in, they'll still get 3 points. So again, I'm very generous. I always allow late work to be done. Usually there's a little reduction in grade though. The next part of the grade is quizzes. It's much less in value. It's only 10%. I consider quizzes to be formative. In other words, I consider them to be things that the students will learn from. As a result, we usually give 1 or 2 quizzes each unit or each chapter. And no matter what score the student receives, they can make the quiz up and get an A. So if you're ever looking at CPM Grade and your student does not have 100% for quizzes, it means they just haven't taken time to make up a quiz that they didn't pass. The last part of their grade is called PBA. It stands for participation, behavior, and attendance. At the end of the week, I basically start every student out with 10 points, and then they can lose points in 3 areas. Participation. If they're not participating in our class activities, they can lose a point. You know, we do a lot of Desmos activities, and I can look up and see what slide they're on, how much work they're doing, and if they're not working, then they can lose participation points. They can also lose points for behavior, for somehow they're misbehaving during the class, and attendance. The most common of these is if they're tardy to class, they lose 2 points. If they decide to just leave the class early, they can lose 2 points as well. So those are how that PBA grade is assessed. So let me end with what I consider to be key for your student to be successful in my class. First of all, if a student consistently does their homework, they're going to succeed in this class, doing the Delta Math and the CPM homework. If they're not, if they're sporadic, if they're always late, it's a good chance they're not going to be successful in the class because that's where the learning is taking place. To excel, a student just needs to make sure they keep up with their quizzes, make sure if they ever don't get 100% that they make that up for 100%. And should they fail any test, they need to make them up. Like I said, that's critical. Every student who's failed my class, when I look at their grades, it usually shows they had a test or two, they failed and didn't take advantage of the opportunity to make it up and bring that grade to passing. So those are the keys that will make your students successful in my class. Finally, what do I expect from your students each day? Well, I expect them to be on Zoom daily, on time, prepared for class, ready to learn. That means that they've printed out their notes for the day so they can take notes and they're ready to learn. Second, I need them to be consistent on their homework, doing it on time, daily as necessary. Third, I need them to be willing to get extra help when they need it. Sometimes a lot of our kids are freshmen and they're often a bit shy to ask for any help. They need to be willing to say, hey, I need some help. It's available. And finally, that's the way to be successful in math. Finally, here's the best way to get a hold of me. Just email me at the school, edwardmorgan@cusd.com. There is a school phone number there, but obviously during the day it's hard. If I'm teaching classes, I'm not usually answering the phone during the day, but you can reach me. Email me if you want me to call you or something. I can always do that. So I think we're going to have a great year. I know your kids are going to do well. And I look forward to the time we finally get out of this virus and I get to meet you in person. Have a great evening. Thank you.